Om Swastyastu, Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh, Syallom, Namo Budaya, and peace be upon of us all. In my presentation now, I will presentation about discovering metal, a history overview. And my name is Yudis Chrisantya, and my number code is 2305 531063. And our lecturer is Professor Dr. Tjokorda Gde Tirta Nindhia, MT M Eng. And our material is Metallurgy, with the code is TM2301, and I am from Mechanical Engineering, Technique Fakulty, Udayana University. Of course, in this case, I take my main reference from the book Metallurgy for Non-Metallurgists, Seccond Edition, and edited by Reardon. The next, in this case, we have 6 points. The first is native metals, and the second is the Bronze Age. The third is making metal extractive practice. The fourth is iron. And the fifth is discovery of the modern metals, and the last one is refining of the metals. Okay, we go to the first is native metals. Most metals naturally occur as a mineral or compounds. The metal atoms have reacted with other metals or with non-metallic atoms. The few metals that are found in an unreacted state are termed native metals. The Chalcolithic period is the name that archaeologists give to the time period that immediately preceded the Bronze Age, in which metal were first being mastered, and they date this period between approximately 5000 and 3000 before century. Ancient men first used native or natural occurring and relative pure metals such as gold, silver, and copper. The discovery that copper could be obtained by heating covellite, malachite, and other bright bluestone or mineral was made between 4000 and 3000 before centuries. These were primarily copper sulfide ores, and ore is a natural mineral that can be mined and treated for the extraction of any of its components, metallic or otherwise. The other observation that metals could be extracted from ores was vital to development of metallurgy, because the number and supply of native metals was quite limited. Before metallurgy could emerge as an art of science, an ancient metallurgist has to be aware to the supply of raw material was not limited to the native metals. As we can see here, the date from the 9000 before centuries, earliest metal object of rock native copper, and that's found in the Near East, and until 1884, electrolytic refining of aluminum, and the location is in the United States. For the next one, we go to the Bronze Age. The Bronze Age was the time from the around 2000 before centuries until 700 before centuries, when people used bronze. The Bronze Age began when it was discovered that mixture of two metals or alloys were the stronger than either of the metals taken individually. Bronze was significantly stronger than relative pure copper. A chemical analysis of the typical bronze alloy from the ancient Middle East showed that the alloy contained approximately 87% copper 10 to 11% tin, and small amount less than 1% of iron, nickel, lead, arsenic, and antimony. That's why bronze can use as a tool and as a weapon. A photograph of an ancient bronze casting is showing in this picture. This casting is an example of the high level of perfection achieved in the Chinese foundry technology in the 7,000 centuries before centuries. Bronze in this casting contains less tin than was typical of the bronze weapons from the same era. As we can see here, a bronze quay-handle vessel on a rectangular plane, 34.30 between 44.50 centimeter, cast in China in the 700 century before century. As you know, pyrometallurgy is the extraction of the metal from ores by chemicals reaction at high temperature and fuel until fired furnace. Pyrometallurgy may involve roasted and or smelting for the extraction or refinements of metals. Smelting refers to melting process that separate metals in a fuse from non-metallic materials. And the hydraulic metallurgy is the leaching or removal of the metal from an ore body by passing a strongly acidic or alkaline solution over the ore. And the last one is electrometallurgy, involve the extraction of metal from their ores by the application of the large amount of electrical energy. Next is the iron. The early name is for iron means is the stone from heaven in several languages. This name probably resulted because the first iron used by ancient men was literally from heaven. Meteorites weighing from a few ounces to tens of the tons have been falling on the earth since its beginning. The meteorites frequently contain large quantities of the metal iron. And the first iron used by ancient men was from this stone from heaven. Iron is chemical element. The atomic number is 26 and Fa, or we can see Latin ferrum for the symbol. It is a metal that belongs to the first transition series and group 8 of the periodic table. It is by mass the most common element on Earth, forming much of Earth's outer and inner core. There are several types of iron based on their carbon content. The first is pure iron, and the second is rock iron, the third is cast iron, and the last one is steel. The pure iron has a very low carbon content, usually less than 0.03%. It is the pure and the softness iron. Then we can see in here, this is a pure iron. And next, we go to the rock iron. Has a carbon content of around 0.02 to 0.08%. This is an iron that has a low carbon content but is quite corrosion and resistant. And the rock iron is, we can make like this. The next one is cast iron. Has a higher carbon content, usually between 2 until 4%. This is very hard and brittle iron. Then the cast iron we can see in a homeware is like pan and another. And the last one is steel. The steel is iron that contains carbon in the range of 0.2 until 2%. It is the most commonly used iron in construction and manufacturing. Yeah, we can see in here steel like used from the house building and another. And next we go to the discovery of the modern metals. Modern metals typically refers to the metallic materials that have been developed or refined using advanced techniques and technologies. These metals often possess superior properties such as strength, durability, conductivity, and corrosion resistance compared to the traditional metal. Alloying elements are generally added to improve the mechanical, electric, or chemical properties of the metal in a fashion similar to the addition of tin to copper to improve the strength. Some of the commercial uses several of the material are described subsequently. There are beryllium, and then cadmium. The third is chromium. The fourth is tungsten, and the last one is vanadium. As we can see, they have own symbol. Like beryllium, they have number 4, Be, beryllium, and the cadmium, they have symbol like this, and the number is 48. And the chromium, they have number 24, and the tungsten, they have number 74, and the last one, vanadium, they have number 23. The beryllium is added to copper to improve its strength. The mechanism or process by which beryllium increases the strength of the cupet is very different than the strengthening that results by tin or zinc addition to copper. And cadmium was discovered in 1817, and it's primarily found in zinc ores. Cadmium coating or plating were used to protect nuts, bolts, and other components made of high strength steel or other relative corrosion-prone metals. Next one is chromium. It improves the resistance of the steel oxidation and corrosion and is an essential ingredient in a stainless steel. Chromium was discovered in 1798 and is used mainly as alloy addition in steel production. Chromium improves the resistance of steel to oxidation and corrosion and is an essential ingredient in stainless. The next is tungsten. Was first refined from ore in 1783 and was originally called wolframium. Tungsten was first used as filament for the incandescent light bulb, and this use accounts for 15 to 20% of all tungsten use. And the last one is vanadium. Is among the hardest of all relative pure metals. It was discovered in 1830 and is actually more abundant than copper, nickel, or zinc, but is very difficult to purify. Next, we go to the refining of the metals. Metals refining is an important step in removing contaminants and other minerals from excavated raw metal. Metal refining methods involve various techniques such as electrolysis, chemical separation, and thermal refining. Refining of the metals refers to the process that purify extract metal. Refining of the metals, like the extraction of the metals from ores, includes many ancient practices and more modern advances. For example, gold always occurs in the metallic states, and it can be extracted from minerals by relatively simple means. Refining techniques for the most metal are much more complicated, but involve similar phenomena. Many techniques now used were not developed until quite recent times. Today, refining can be used to produce very pure metals like copper, gold, silver, and aluminum. The last is an iron, and many other metals can be pure case at the purity levels of 99.99999 similar percent, which is equivalent to 1 part impurity in a million. And that's all our my presentation. Thank you and bye bye.